Hello and welcome to Winchester Now, our weekly news programme here on Winchester Radio. I'm Mary Blacksland. On this week's programme we look ahead to the Heritage Open Days, including one woman's tribute to her son. Get Sewing, a quilt project is launched to tell the stories of our city, and the young pianist hitting the right note in the city centre. Winchester Radio. The Heritage Open Days start this weekend, but for one Winchester woman it's going to be an emotional moment. Art teacher Daphne Vaughan is putting on a display of paintings to raise money for a charity set up in memory of her son Tom, who died aged just 34. She's been teaching children for 20 years, and now they've created artworks of city shop fronts which will be on display in the shop windows as well as the City Museum.
My children have done fantastically well. They have done the buildings in the High Street in Winchester, and I was so proud of their work. I thought it would be a lovely idea to be able to have an exhibition in the City Museum, which is what we're going to do.
And a lot of this artwork is going to be on display in the shops as well, isn't it? The shops that they've painted.
Yes. Since the death of my son 4 years ago, I set up a charity called Know Thyself, which is a mental health charity. I thought, as the work was so good, we could ask the businesses if they would be interested in buying a reproduction in order to support the charity. So there will be a trail to do with Heritage Open Days. You can get your trail papers or whatever from the museum or also from the tourist shop. And you can go round and you can see all the pictures that my young artists have done. They've been positioned in the shop front. So yes, I'm just fascinated to see if it all works. This will all work. But I've certainly been putting enough work into it.
And how important is it for you to do this in memory of your son?
I don't think, being the age I am, early 70s, that actually I would have done this without the death of my son. He was living in Los Angeles, had taken on a very senior role, which I think was probably too much for him. He found it very stressful, and it's, I think, called high-functioning anxiety. And I think, like a lot of young men and women, they don't realise actually just how stressful striving for your career can be. He was in that category. Although he didn't commit suicide, he drowned. Part of trying to ease, I think, the anxiety he experienced, he went into the cold sea in order to kind of cool his head down. And he was taken by a riptide. He was not a strong swimmer. It just destroyed me, the whole thing. He was my only son. So I just thought, what can I do? And also what is interesting is he said to me before he died, Mum, the job I'm doing is not right for me. I've set up a company called Know Thyself. I want to help mankind. So, of course, Mummy took on the task with the help of a lot of his friends. And, well, I mean, I haven't looked back for the last 3.5 years. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it. And I wouldn't have done all this without the loss of Tom.
And what difference is the charity making, or what difference do you hope it will make?
I want it to make all the difference because it is becoming an epidemic, well, particularly in schools and in businesses. And it's the way we live. It's the fact that we are on the computer or social media all the time. And I think it's very damaging to our mental health. I do art classes, and I think they're going to go more and more in the direction of focusing on your art can do for your mental health. And also the charity, we have the lovely job of giving away lots of lovely money to charities and organisations and schools that need this. I'm the beating heart, really, because this is what happens, when you lose a child. You just, well, it's a sort of becomes a major focus.
And the young people that have drawn these wonderful pictures that we've got in front of us here, they must be very proud, not only to see their artwork on display, but also to know that they're playing a part in that charity as well.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely, definitely. All those things. It's lovely. They're absolutely delighted. We're all delighted. We're as pleased as punch.
And what do you hope people will take away who come and see the exhibition and see them in the shops as well?
Do you know what? I think it's a smiley exhibition. It's really smiley. It just goes to show, actually, if your kids sit down, and my kids have been working on this for a year. But yes, it's hard work. And I think you can see when looking at the building just how hard they have worked. you'll see that they've tried very hard, but they've also used their imaginations. That's their bonus, really, being able to just change the bricks into lovely different colours and do things. No, it's fun.
You must be very proud. I guess you'll be very proud when you see them up there.
I'll be like an old granny hen. Yes, I will. Yes, I would be very proud.
And how much do you think this is going to mean for the charity? How much is this going to raise for your wonderful charity?
Well, do you know, I don't think it's going to raise a huge amount of money. I think what it's going to do is going to create an awareness amongst local people that this is a one-man band, with Tom's friends as well, who's actually determined to try and do something for mental health. Well, I'm fairly determined, and I hope it works. And I've got all sorts of ideas of what I can do from now on, which will all, as far as I'm concerned, the money will go to Know Thyself. It will go to charitable causes. I mean, and there is a lot of schools and businesses that need help out there.
And the display and art trail runs from Friday the 8th to Sunday the 17th of September. Now for a roundup of some of the other events taking place in and around Winchester for the Heritage Open Days, here's Anna O'Brien.
Heritage Open Days started in 1994 as a way for people to explore the history and heritage of their communities with museums, attractions, theatres and historic sites throwing open their doors for free. There are more than 120 events taking place this year across Hampshire. Some require booking, but for others you can just turn up. There's history on display from medieval to modern. You can explore the latest archaeological discoveries at the bus station and in Hyde 900's community digs. Visit some of Winchester's most famous landmarks, the Westgate, the City Mill, the Great Hall, the Hospital of St Cross. Abbey House, the Mayor's residence, will be open to the public on Friday the 15th of September. The Grade 2 listed Friends Meeting House in Colebrook Street will be open to all this weekend. A chance to enjoy a cream tea while you're there. Wolvesey Castle will resonate to the sound of choir and pipers on Sunday from 12 to 2 p.m. And if you like vintage vehicles, then there's a display of historic buses and coaches at St Catherine's Park and Ride this Sunday, with free vintage bus rides from the Broadway in the afternoon. Here's James Freeman, chairman of Friends of King Alfred Buses.
We really love being part of the Heritage Open Days, which is a fantastic sort of amalgamation of opportunity across the city. Lots of things you can do. And what we do is to bring our buses out. This year we are exhibiting the whole fleet, more or less a pop-up museum, if you like, so that people can come and just look at all the buses standing next to each other. So we have to go to a big place, so we're going to St Catherine's Park and Ride for that. And that's on Sunday morning. So if anyone wants to do that, we'll be there from about 9:30 to about 11:30. But then we are decamping to the Broadway, going back into operation. That's not different from what we normally do, but what we've decided to try this time is something which is a bit different, which is instead of running all the old routes, we're going to concentrate on one route, which is the route up the old A34, past Worthy, down South Wonston to Sutton Scotney, terminating outside the Coach and Horses. And we're going to run a number 11 buses, that's the route it was, every 12 minutes. From about 12 o'clock noon till 5 o'clock in the evening in both directions. So we think that's going to be different.
And it's also going to be a lovely bus route because I think people can get off where they like. I like the fact there's a pub at the other end.
Well, indeed. So we've got a few pubs engaged in this. The sort of funny features of it are, one, if you think about it, every 12-minute service means every 6 minutes you pass another bus. So there's something to wave at, something to look at. We've got pubs at the Coach and Horses in Sutton Scotney, the Wonston Arms in Wonston, the King Charles at Springvale, all supporting the event and looking forward to people jumping off there. And the whole idea of our timetables, they're set up so that people can get off, have a drink, do something else, have a meal, do what they want, and then get back on again later on. And people really like doing that, so hopefully that will be popular. But the idea is just to run lots of buses and for people to have good fun with them.
The MG Owners Club will also be showing off their sports and classic cars outside the Guildhall on Sunday, with another display at the castle the following Saturday. Find out about the history of the Theatre Royal or the Chesil Theatre and go behind the scenes at the Hampshire Chronicle or Winchester Talking newspaper. A number of shops will be showing off their history, among them independent bookseller P.G. Wells, Jeremy France Jewellers and stationers Warren and Son. Several churches, including St John's and Winchester Baptist, plus St Bartholomew's, are joining in, and there will be poetry readings at St Lawrence in the Square. Looking ahead, Winchester's military museums are having a big day out on the 16th of September, with free entry to all the museums that Saturday. There'll also be live music and reenactments. And if you fancy a bit of dancing, why not join the Hampshire Regency Dancers at the Great Hall? We'll hear more about the group in next week's show. To find out more about all the events, including dates and times to visit, head to the website winchesterheritageopendays.org.
Winchester Radio.
In other news this week, charity leaders fear Hampshire County Council's proposed budget cuts to community transport in Winchester will have a devastating impact on vulnerable people. Community First has launched a Save Our Community Transport Service campaign, urging customers to lobby their county councillors and MPs. They say any cuts to services such as Connect Dial-A-Ride will leave people isolated. The County Council held an online public consultation in July, and the proposals could come into force next April. The authority says it's facing a budget shortfall of £132 million, under funding from central government and an increased demand for its services. Meanwhile, the County Council has also opened a consultation on plans to close 7 nursing homes in Hampshire, including West Home in Winchester. It's also proposing to build 3 new homes, including Cornerways in Kingsworthy. The authority says it's investing £173 million on care over the next 5 years, and changes will be phased in over time. The consultation runs until the 12th of November. Another Winchester pub has closed its doors, blaming the cost of living. The managers of the Rising Sun announced the decision on social media, saying the economic bite has finally got the better of us. They blamed the cost of gas and electricity as well as price increases from suppliers, meaning they couldn't afford to continue trading. A new project has been launched in Winchester to try to capture the stories of the city. The Fabric of Winchester project is led by the charity St John's and involves the creation of several memory quilts. Individuals, families, community groups, schools and businesses are being invited to take part, with several community sewing days also planned. Anna spoke to Maddie Cowell, head of fundraising at St John's and leading the project.
This is the first kind of this project that's happened, we think, in the country. So it's going to be a first nationally. Essentially, this project is all about creating memory quilts. And we're not just creating any memory quilts, we're creating Winchester's memory quilts. So we're inviting everyone across Winchester, whether that's residents, families, schools, churches, you name it. They can either donate a piece of fabric or clothing. It might be grandmother's blouse or a running t-shirt from the 5K. You can either do it that way, you can join one of our community sewing days and stitch a block. So we're going to have 5 public community sewing days that are all free to attend. We'll have sewing machines there. We'll have volunteers on hand to help people, so you don't need to have any sewing experience. And you'll actually be able to stitch your own 9x9 inch block. If you can't make one of our community sewing days, you're welcome to stitch your own block just in your own time. Drop it off to St John's. Tell us the story behind your block. So make sure you include that special memory that's attached to your block or to your fabric. Local businesses, we don't want them to miss out either, so they'll be able to purchase a block that we will then have their logo or their company name imprinted onto a block. And the idea is we're going to put all of these blocks together, these squares, and tell the stories of Winchester in these lap quilts. And then because we want everyone to know about these stories and to really let the community see these stories, they'll be displayed publicly in the Arc in January. It'll be free to attend, and we invite the community to come and see these stories. And then these quilts are going to be functional as well. So the idea is that they will be donated on behalf of the community, on behalf of St John's Winchester, to Winchester Hospice. And that's to really support their amazing work that they do over there as well. So it's all about memories. It's all about stories. St John's, we're so privileged to be the storytellers of Winchester in this particular project. And we obviously have our own dementia support service. And we're really trying to highlight just how important our memories and our stories are to our identity, to our community, to our families. So we're really piecing those two things together.
And tell us, Maddie, because it is a very inspirational project that people can get involved with, how did you come up with the idea for the Fabric of Winchester? Because you're relatively new to the charity and you have an arts background. Has that fed into this?
I think it probably did, even though I didn't really imagine my background is actually in the performing arts. I was a violinist for a number of years, and I sort of came to St John's. I arrived on their doorstep 4 months months ago, I didn't actually think, there was going to be too much arts sort of things involved, but it did just sort of come up that we do want to tell stories and we do want to position St John's and our dementia support service right in the middle of Winchester. And the best way to do that is sometimes through creativity and crafts and arts. So this project sort of has evolved, and I think it's really taken off, especially in the last couple of months. And it has turned into this wonderful opportunity for creativity, for imagination, for the arts to help shape how we can tell the community stories, how we can involve people from all different backgrounds, from all different corners of Winchester, and really connect them together. And the arts are always fantastic at that, so why not do it that way?
And it is so lovely having storytelling, and it might be related to Winchester, it might be personal family tales that are being shared, but it's a way to keep them alive and to share them from generation to generation. And of course, different generations can get involved in the project at the community sewing days. But I know you've mentioned they're free. It's important to say that people do need to book, just so that numbers coming.
Absolutely. So they're being hosted in a variety of venues across Winchester. As you say, it's all free to attend, but we do ask that people register in advance just so that we can manage capacities. We've got all the information that will be available on our website. We're very fortunate that Playmakers, part of Play to the Crowd, are managing all the registration pages for us, so it's very easy. As I say, we'll have sewing machines there, we'll have bits of fabric, we'll have volunteers helping. We're also very fortunate to have a local Winchester artist, Katie Rundle, who is acting as our memory artist, and she's going to be at our community sewing days helping people work through those stories and memories that they have, shaping them and translating them into a design that they can then sew. She'll be there as well. So we've got everyone going to be there, ready to help everyone and help our participants on those community sewing days.
Well, it's tremendously exciting, and I know you touched upon it earlier, but again, for our listeners, St John's Winchester, one of the oldest charities in Winchester. So if people want to find out more about St John's Winchester, or indeed they want to get involved in one of the community sewing days, where can they find the information?
Absolutely. Best place to head is straight to our website, which is stjohnswinchester.co.uk. We've got links there to the Fabric of Winchester, which is going to be this fantastic project. If you want to get in touch with us, please reach out to connect@stjohnswinchester.co.uk. But as I say, all the information's on our website, and we can't wait to welcome everyone to this project.
Maddie Cowell from St John's Winchester.
Hello there, it's time for this week's shout-outs with me, Paul Blitz, here on Winchester Now. We start off with a shout-out to the organisers of both the Lee Alsford Show and the Littleton and Hairstock Show, which took place last weekend. The sunny weather brought out the crowds and a good time was had by all involved. It took organisers many months of planning, and many people gave up their time to man stalls and coordinate events on the day. Other smaller events also took place this weekend. A family fair was held in Abbots Barton, organised by the staff at Colton Care for their residents and for local people, and the event also raised funds for the Boaz project. Let's give a mention to Winchester charity shops and all the volunteers who work in them. This month has been called Second Hand September, with charities urging people to donate, reuse and rewear, and to pledge not to buy new clothes during the month. 11 million items of clothing goes to landfill each week, and charities say that shopping second hand saves money, the environment, as well as raising money for good causes. And talking of raising money, let's give a big cheer to fundraiser Emily Hendren Allwright, who's just completed a challenge to walk 1,000 miles for the Hampshire Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust. Since the start of the year, Emily has been out and about, clocking up as many miles as she can to meet her target before the end of the year, and she completed it ahead of schedule. Emily works in the pathology department at the hospital and is raising money for the department, which helps thousands of patients each year. Finally, it's a big week for many people, either starting new projects or stages of their lives, those going to primary and secondary schools and those preparing to start at Winchester University in a couple of weeks' time. We wish everyone the best of luck. I'll second that. More shout-outs next week.
Winchester Radio.
Finally today, he's just 12 years old, but he's already turning heads in Winchester. You may have seen and heard Harry Lee playing the piano in the city centre, an incredible talent, and he plays every note from memory. What is it you like about playing the piano?
I've been doing it since I was 4, so it's been part of my life.
And how much do you practice every week? How long does it take?
2 hours a day. I like playing all sorts of music, like pop and jazz, all of that kind.
And what's it like playing in front of all these people walking through Winchester?
Sometimes it's nerve-wracking and sometimes I just daydream and just play.
You play without any music, don't you?
Yes, at home I learn the music and then I try and remember it.
Got an incredible memory then to learn all this.
Yes.
Harry already plays in hotels across the south, supported by Dad Peter.
I was an acrobat in the circus for 30 years, so I know about discipline. I thought if I ever have a son, he'll play the piano, not become an acrobat. When he plays the piano, he can travel the world and do that. And he plays the piano accordion very, very well. And the saxophone, he plays that well.
He started young, didn't he?
He started at 4. I mean, it's about the age to do it. But that day, you just do half an hour in the morning, half hour at night. After a few years, then you do 2 hours a day. And this he does a gig, so it's all good fun.
And what do you think of his talent? You must be proud.
Oh, yes, but it's hard work because I'm telling him off all the time. It's good fun. It's good fun for me because I'm an old dad and it keeps me busy.
But you must be proud to see him here today.
Oh, yes, it's wonderful, yeah.
Harry Lee ending our programme today. Many thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Winchester Now. We hope you've enjoyed this Winchester radio programme. Remember, if you have a story to share with us, please do get in touch. You can drop us an email at news@winchester.radio. And you can follow us on social media, including Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Winchester Radio.
Winchester Radio.